Hello everyone, Hailey here, and I'm here to talk to you today about the difference between living on campus versus living off campus as a college student. So as many of you are kind of exploring your housing options for next year, there are some things that you should definitely consider as you're making that decision, and I'd like to share them with you. The first most obvious difference about living on versus off campus is going to be the price point. So it depends what city you're living in and what school you're going to. In the case of UCLA and Westwood, living off campus is usually much cheaper than living on campus. And when you live on campus, they can kind of charge you whatever they want. And they do charge you like for an entire academic term. When you're living off campus, you're paying monthly rent, which doesn't include like utilities or anything like that, which is another thing that I'll touch on in a minute. So you have different payment plans for on-campus options. You know, you can choose to do monthly, quarterly, you can pay one lump sum. I don't know who would. I mean, depending on which building you're living in and whether it's like a single or a double or a triple, this can usually range anywhere from 15 to 20,000, and then that also depends on the meal plan you get, because when you live on campus you are required to have a meal plan. And the meal plans vary. You can have like 3 meals a day, you can have like a few meals a week or whatever. It just depends like how much you're actually going to be eating on campus, because some people who live pretty close go home on the weekends. They don't need meals on the weekends. And for off-campus, so going back to the off-campus option, so usually the monthly rent is cheaper if you break it down. When I compare my living situation now to when I was living on campus in Hedrick Summit, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was at least a couple $1,000s cheaper to live off campus. And let me talk briefly about like utilities and stuff like that when it comes to living off campus, because as you know, you don't have to worry about that when you're living on campus. It's sort of all inclusive. You get, you know, room and board, you get your meal plan, and then power, water, garbage, all that stuff. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Wi-Fi, nothing is, you know, a problem for you. When you're living off campus, however, though, you have to pay rent and you have to pay utilities, Wi-Fi, you know, whatever sort of thing that you want. And that is definitely something to think about when you're looking at the price tag of the apartment or wherever you're looking at, because you may see the number and be like, ooh, this is great. Or if it's at the top of your budget, but it has a lot of the things that you want, you may be like, okay, it's worth that extra little bit of change. But then, you know, you pay your first month's rent and then you get hit with the first utility bills and you're like, another huge difference between these two options are rules. Obviously on campus, you have a lot of rules. I don't even think there's actually a curfew, but you know, you have like quiet hours, you have, it's a dry campus at UCLA, so you can't drink, can't smoke. You know, obviously parties are like a no, as long as you don't get caught, sort of a thing. And there are just a lot of restrictions, which some people find really annoying. But when you go off campus, you don't have any of that. So, you know, you can do whatever you want essentially, as long as you don't violate like the, you know, terms of your lease pretty much. You can drink, you can smoke, you can throw a party, you can't really be as loud as you want, but you can definitely be louder in an apartment than you can in a dorm. And in some ways, I think that's a double-edged sword. I think a lot of people think like, oh my God, freedom. And yeah, there is a lot of freedom involved in living off campus. Like, you don't have RAs who are gonna like narc you out, you know, if they catch you drunk, or, you know, get you like, I don't know, in trouble or like get fined or something like that. Although you might get fined in an apartment if you violate the lease. But you know, I personally see this as not the best thing, because at the end of the day, if there are no rules, then there's really no one to enforce the rules. So for example, if you have a roommate or the person who lives next to you, if they're constantly drinking, throwing parties, being super loud, in a dorm, you can go to your RA and say, hey, this is not working out for me, you know, they're really kind of bothering me and disturbing me. But in an apartment, you can go to your landlord, but usually they're not really gonna do anything. So when you think of living off campus, just think of the fact that you're gonna be living with pretty much a bunch of other teenagers, if not very young adults, whose immaturity levels are pretty low. So leveling with them, reasoning with them on issues like that probably isn't going to be easy. Convenience is a big motivating factor for why people stay on campus for so long. At UCLA, if you begin as a freshman, you can stay on campus for 3 out of your 4 years. If you're a transfer, you can only stay 1 out of your 2 years, which kind of sucks. I've talked about that before. But I mean, definitely I think one of the big draws of living on campus is the convenience factor, because you don't have to worry about how far you are from class and transportation and parking and that sort of thing per se. You know, you're right there. You can get up and be to class in like 15 minutes. Some people, when it comes to the price point of rent, they are really attracted to a low rent, which I get, so they opt to live farther away from campus. But then you do have to think about, how am I getting to campus? And how easy is it going to be for me to get to campus? I can take public transportation, but is it reliable? I can drive myself, but can I get a parking permit for the school grounds? And is there even going to be anywhere to park? Because, you know, 30,000 people are also trying to get to campus on any given day. And the other thing with living on campus is that everything you need is right there, pretty much. Even if you never went to like a Target or any grocery store, you actually have pretty much everything you need on campus, because usually there is some sort of convenience store on campus, which leads into my next point, which is the sheltered lifestyle of living on campus. And when you're living on campus, you may or may not realize this. I didn't realize it at first, but the longer I was there, the more deeply I felt it, because it did feel very like trapped in a way. Because everything you need is there. You're living in the dorm, you walk 10-15 minutes to class and you're there. Anything you could possibly need is in Westwood. So there's a Target in Westwood, there's a Rite Aid in Westwood, there's, you know, a Ralph's, there's like everything. There's, you know, hair salons and whatever you need. Like, it's in Westwood. You don't need a car. You can just walk there. And I didn't have my car, and I felt very like confined to Westwood and to UCLA. And anytime I would go off campus, like even if it was just to get my nails done or something, it was like such a euphoric moment, because I never got that. Like I would realize when I would leave campus how much of a like hub UCLA is, and it's full of students. Westwood has a very distinctive vibe from the rest of LA. You know, there is like a lot of hustle and bustle in LA, and that's definitely true of Westwood to an extent. But it's like when I leave Westwood, like as soon as I get to like Wilshire, I just feel like I'm in LA. You know what I mean? Like it's just like crazy traffic and people everywhere, you know, just like chaos and madness. And there really isn't that much chaos and madness and traffic in Westwood. I would say it's definitely kind of a little bubble. Let me talk really quickly about food, because I feel like this is a really big question on everyone's mind. So UCLA does have the #1 rated dining hall system in the nation. That being said, the food is good, but it is still dining hall food. At the end of the day, you know it's not the healthiest, and there is a healthy dining hall on campus called B Plate, which is short for Bruin Plate, but honestly, it's not too appetizing from my perspective. A lot of people eat there, a lot of athletes eat there, but I feel like everyone who eats there is just kind of lying to themselves about how good it is. Like, sometimes they really do well. Like, they do tri-tip really well at B Plate, but everything else is just kind of like bland, not my thing. But anyway, when it comes to food on campus, you do have to have a meal plan. Like, you are required to have a meal plan. So you have to eat on campus. I mean, you don't have to, but you're paying for it, so you might as well, right? And it gets tiring. Like, you will eat the same thing every day. And if you're lazy like me, you're not gonna wanna go to the dining hall. You're gonna wanna go somewhere quick, like Rendezvous or the Study, and you're gonna end up getting the same burrito or the same salad every day for 30 weeks. And you're gonna get sick of it. I got so sick of it. Like, I didn't like DoorDash or Postmate that much throughout the quarter, but I would say I probably did it 10 times while I lived at UCLA, because I was just simply disgusted. I mean, disgusted is a really strong word, but you know, I was just so turned off by UCLA food. Every time I would go to Rendezvous and get a stupid burrito at UCLA, I would be like, God, I wish I could just have some scrambled eggs right now, you know? Like something simple and fresh. And I couldn't have that at UCLA. And now that I'm here in my apartment with my own kitchen, and it's a really nice kitchen, I can do whatever I want, and it just feels incredible. Like, I know that I'm eating better. I'm eating healthier even if I'm not consciously trying to eat healthier. I just like, I'm not eating things that are super greasy or fried like I would usually at UCLA. And I just like, I like that I'm eating more. I'm also like not restricted to like the dining hall hours, because at UCLA you have to eat, you know, it depends on your meal plan, you have to eat within certain hours. I had like 19p or whatever the hell the biggest meal plan is, the most free meal plan. I had that, and even still the dining halls close at a certain time, you know, you can't get food between like 2 and 3 or something like that. And it's like, what if that's my only opportunity to eat because I have to go to class at 3? Well, I can just make something for myself at home. It's a way better feeling for me. So I've been very transparent about my experience about living on UCLA campus. It varies for everybody. Some people love it, some people hate it. I would encourage you, if you're interested, just to try it out and see how it works out for you. It is very expensive, but if you're looking for the college experience, many people are, it's definitely worth a shot. Otherwise, living off campus is a very good idea, albeit very stressful because the process of finding housing can be very intense and feel rushed at times. So definitely give yourself a head start and get started now if you're planning on living in an apartment in Westwood. Other than that, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm happy to answer those for you. And as always, I am always posting new content every Saturday at 3 p.m. about UCLA, community college, applying to UC, and stuff like that. And I will see my subscribers next Saturday at 3 p.m. Thank you very much. Bye.